Republican Congressman Thaddeus McCotter. He's with us tonight from our nation's capital. Good evening, Congressman.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, let's start by getting your reaction to today's hearing. Did Liddy say anything that will make you sleep better tonight, whether it's about the bonuses that will be given back and maybe some of the bonuses?
Well, I think there was a lot of empathy for Mr. Liddy. He came out of the private life to take $1 a year to try to do the right thing and wind down AIG and protect the taxpayers' interests. Unfortunately, in conjunction with the Federal Reserve and the Treasury Department, he made a mistake in thinking that this would not be a problem and did not read the public's mood regarding AIG and the executive bonuses. I think he's taken steps to try to rectify this, but the taxpayers will not be satisfied until all that money is recouped, until they see a light at the end of the tunnel for AIG, and they start to get a sense of the equity being put back in favor of the taxpayers in this situation.
And what about Tim Geithner? We're hearing that he didn't know about these bonuses until just last week. What do you make of that?
Well, my colleague Steve LaTourette from Ohio has introduced a resolution of inquiry so that we can get to the bottom of what government's participation in this fiasco has been. We are very concerned about what about potential bailout money in the future? What discussions have taken place? What discussions have taken place regarding the potential breakup of AIG? And what discussions have taken place regarding bonds and bondholders? What we're looking at right now is to get to the bottom of this, because there is concern about what the Treasury and the Federal Reserve were privy to regarding these bonuses. As you've probably heard, there is the Dodd Amendment that was signed into law by President Obama within the stimulus package that grandfathers those bonuses and protects them from the Secretary of the Treasury or from anyone else taking them away or precluding them in the first place. So there are a lot of questions, and the American people truly deserve answers, and it is our intention to get them.
Congressman is hustling in Singapore now. Liddy said there could be dire consequences if something happened to AIG. What do you make of that comment? It sounds almost like a threat.
No, I don't think he intended to be threatening. I think this is part of the overall strategy that has proven to fail, which is ironically entitled Too Big to Fail. I think AIG has proven too big to fix. People like former Speaker Newt Gingrich have talked about taking it into bankruptcy. I believe that since the taxpayers owe 80% of it, the taxpayers should, as quickly as possible, break this up, liquidate it, reprivatize it, and try to maximize as much as they can out of this situation. Otherwise, they're going to be facing an indeterminate amount of time and an indeterminate amount of taxpayer support to AIG to try to keep it going, and I just don't think that will be fruitful.
Congressman Zara Burton here. Tell me about the forcing of the hand at AIG to get the names released. How important is that to you, and do you believe that they should remain confidential?
No, I think it's a reality when you accept taxpayer funds that you accept it on condition that if there is an investigation by Congress or a subpoena issued, that your name could easily be brought forward. We understand and respect the fact that these individuals are very concerned. Many of them in general or specifically have received some types of threats from members of the public which are reprehensible. But in the end, you are in a public process, you've accepted public money, and you are going to be held to public transparency standards. I would also like to point out that the best way to get your name off that list is to repay the bonus that you've been given.
Congressman, do we know if the government has indeed issued specific rules on the bonus payments at companies under the TOP program? Do we know anything about that?
We do know for a fact that the Dodd Amendment that was put in the stimulus bill and signed into law by President Obama prevents such bonuses that were entered into before February 11th of this year from being prevented. We also understand from watching the example of the auto industry and watching some of the legislation regarding foreclosures that have come forward, the government has no problem talking about cram downs in the sanctity of contracts. They have no trouble asking people who work on an assembly line to go renegotiate their union contracts with the corporations, such as Chrysler and GM, to try to show viability in the future and justify taxpayer funds being expended. What you've seen with AIG is there has been no attempt to try to show the sacrifice that is required to show viability over the short run and a safe liquidation in the long run that would justify taxpayer expenditures, let alone bonuses to people who claim to be the best and brightest, and yet are the very people who brought the economy of the world to the precipice of a global depression.
Congressman, just stick around. Go ahead, Zara.
Yes.
Question in real quick there. The legislation that's going to be voted on tomorrow, taxing those bonuses, are you in favor of that?
Well, I think it'll wind up being called unconstitutional, so in many ways it becomes a symbolic vote, but it also shows the danger that we have when Congress acts in a crisis. We saw the Wall Street bailout, which is the model that actually led to this particular problem with the bonuses to AIG. And so succinctly, you would hate to see Congress make another mistake and turn the tax code into a penal code.
Congressman, we'll pick up the discussion right after this. We're going for a short break, the trade. We'll be right back.